Please welcome our career coaches. Just anywhere you want to sit. Well, just a little background as we talk about this. This was created in 2022 following a model that the CREATE Foundation up in Northeast Mississippi had done in 3 counties across the Pull Alliance there in Northeast Mississippi. When legislation passed, we wanted to follow that model. The governor talked about that this is not funded by the schools. They're not paid for by the schools. They're paid for by Accelerate. That's where everything is done, so that they have the autonomy to focus on the one job they're there to do. And we're only in our first year of that program, but we really are making some great progress. I mean, first full year of our program. We're currently at 177 coaches serving 187 high schools across the state. That's about 80% of the high schools have some access to a career coach at this point. And we're really starting to see that focus on how do we get to a successful career pathway. So I want to welcome first Lorraine Hamer from Holmes Community Central High School in Holmes County.
Yes,
she's a native of Holmes County. After graduating from Mississippi Valley State, she returned home, spent 37 years as an educator, teaching English, journalism, got a specialist degree in curriculum instruction and professional development. And now you get to work a little bit more defined, I guess, with this. What was it that intrigued you about being a career coach?
Well, I think that the most thing that intrigued me about becoming a career coach is that I'm able to talk about those career options, those special career options that are out there and available for the students. As an educator for 37 years, we spent a lot of time with tests. You need to graduate and go to a 4-year college. Well, we lost something along the way. We realized that we got diverse students out there, and some of these students don't want to go to 4-year colleges. So I say, as a career coach, I'm able to tell them, oh, you don't have to. There are technical careers and there are trades out there like welding, you have HVAC, you have plumbing, roofing. I mean, the list is endless, where you can go and pursue in a short period of time and you can receive or earn a competitive salary, equivalent or even better than those who are on the 4-year level. So that intrigued me the most, because our kids need to know that they have those options available for them after high school.
And I think that's, as you think about it, also with us is Colleen Leggett. She is from West Jones High School. She's actually employed through the Economic Development Authority of Jones County, which got the grant from Accelerate to do that. You've been working with high school students as a recruiter at Southern Miss before coming back home, and now you're connecting to the local students. Kind of the same question, what led you to do this?
Yeah, so my professional experience being in enrollment management and recruitment, I was very familiar with working with high school students, specifically the demographic of 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade students, and of course very familiar working in the education sector, working with counselors, principals. So when this position became available, I realized, I kind of started thinking about it more, that I loved my job as a recruiter at Southern Miss, but I think I started to realize that I loved more the process of goal setting amongst these students. Regardless of what pathway they were taking, there is something to be said about interactions with these high school students, that no matter what their next decision is after they graduate, they're all on the precipice of making these huge decisions that are changing the trajectory of their life. And so for me, with this position as a career coach, I really liked that it was taking all of the things that I loved about, that recruitment standpoint of working with those students, but it was changing the conversation to being more about setting goals for your career. And the question became, what is your career that you're wanting to go into, or what skills do you have? What do you think that would yield into for a certain career that you would actually like and be good at? And then shaping the question of, what's your next steps to get there, whether that is a 2-year program at a community college, whether it's going to an advanced training course, or whether it's doing a 4-year route, whatever that may look like. It felt like it was personalizing the position to the students, making sure that they have their voices heard, and you're giving them the most efficient pathway to whatever they want to accomplish in their career goals.
And then our final panelist is Jim Sutherland with Columbus High School. you're from a military family. I mean, we got a couple of Mississippi natives here, and then we have you who I understand lived in 5 states by the time you were in the 4th grade. So
Redheaded stepchild.
but you've also served, and you were with the 255th Air Guard in Biloxi Gulfport, and then had a career in securities and investments, and now you're doing this. What was this? What was it about this opportunity that got you excited?
Yeah, opportunity is the word. And you talk about all these other ladies here have an education or some type of background in that. Mine was business, all business pretty much. And being in the military, and then also graduated from the Citadel and went to different trainings, and then going into security. So I saw this opportunity, and I've worn many hats. I tell you, that's the one key for me. I've worn a lot of hats, so when these kids say, talking about this or that, yeah, I've done recycling. I used to do cardboard and all that stuff, and I've had jobs and other things. So when this opportunity came along, I was sitting at one of your MEC tour meetings there back in August of 22 at Lion Hills Country Club up there in Columbus, and you started talking about ascent to 55%. I'm sitting there, oh, that's pretty. At the time, I was unemployed. I'm sitting there, oh, that's pretty neat. Yeah. Now I'm sitting with Dr. Sam Allison. He's our Lowndes County superintendent for the school district. And then you hit, thank you, legislature, Mr. Younger, Chuck Younger, thank you so much for the legislature, everybody voting for these career coaches. And I'm like, what? And I go, Sam, do you know about this? He goes, yeah, I've gotten 3 names already, and I didn't know you were interested. I didn't know about it. I mean, immediately at that meeting, I walk over to Miss Greta Miller, who's at EMCC. She's the WIOA, Workforce Initiative Opportunity, works with that. And I said, who's doing this thing for the workforce, for dealing with career coaches? She said, oh, you need to call Dave Kitchens at 3 Rivers Planning and blah, blah. So, great, do you have his number? I call, leave a message. 2 days go by, I haven't heard anything. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call the head honcho, Terry Treadaway. So 3 Rivers, I call him, and I had worked with him a little bit. I used to be the Lowndes County Director for Department of Human Services, and had worked with him on some things. And anyways, called him, and I get to the message here, I finish up the answer to the question, but he put my resume on Dave's desk, and Dave finally called me. And he goes, well, Jim, I didn't think you'd want to have a call at 2 or 3 in the morning. Well, my wife and I were in Sweden and Switzerland and going to Germany. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. But anyways, the opportunity to me, I poured some of my life into working with the parents. And if we want to change Mississippi, it's time to pour our lives into the youth, the education system of these kids. And I grabbed hold of that because I had, not saying it was bad, but I felt like I was banging my head against the wall when I was working at DHS. It's a great program to help people get along. But there were some people, I've been on DHS for 12 years, and I'm thinking, gosh, man, what can I do to help you? Because the whole purpose of DHS is self-sufficiency, get them to a point of self-sufficiency. And so when the opportunity came along and I heard about the career coach thing, I said, man, if we want to change Columbus, Lowndes County, the state, whatever, let's start pouring into our kids. So I said, let's go for it, man.
What you need to do is tell Columbus High School they owe MEC a finder's fee.
Oh, okay. That sounds good to me.
Let's dig a little bit deeper. Colin, I'll go to you first. Partnerships have got to be important. So talk a little bit about partnerships, collaborations that y'all have established with business leaders to kind of enhance that and make some things happen on that front.
Yeah. So there are 3 career coaches in Jones County, and we're all employed under the EDA of Jones County umbrella. So like Scott had mentioned earlier, and underneath that umbrella also exists our Chamber of Commerce. And so because of that, we're able to have a lot of interactions with a lot of different business and industry representatives in our area. So specifically, we have monthly Chamber of Commerce networking events where when we first started in October of 2022, we were able to go ahead and kind of start meeting different people, putting our names out there, but then also getting a feel for really who's in the community, who's in the positions that we really need to be in that network with, and then also understanding a little bit more about what these individuals are needing from us and what they are needing from the positions that they're either going to have available, what they currently have available, really just getting a better idea of what our community needs. So some of the partnerships and collaborations that have come from that is really, we created what we like to refer to as this revolving door in the schools, that we have this network of people that are either our manufacturing industry leaders, or we have people that work in different various, even small business owners that are willing to come into the schools and interact with the students face to face and one-on-one. That's really been our biggest source of collaboration, is the ways that our community has really wanted to be a part of this as well. And so we've had events where they're able to interact with students, and it's beneficial not only for the students to kind of get their foot in the door per se, but then also for that HR employee or whoever it is, their corporate recruiter, whatever it is, for them to also know that student's name. It's been very beneficial because it's not only just us going in front of these students saying, hey, employers need this, this, and this for their next generation of workforce leaders. They're hearing it directly from the source. They're hearing it from someone that has the actual, credibility being in that industry, saying, this is what you need to be successful. So from those conversations, we heard a lot of things kind of kept coming up. One of the main things, especially for students going immediately into the workforce, that we kept hearing is that it seemed like a lot of students coming out of this generation didn't have the same practical skills that they would see historically. So things that I'm talking about, like being able to read a tape measure, being able to do simple math to convert quarts to gallons, things of that nature, that we kind of kept hearing come up, and we know that those are being taught, but maybe the students don't understand the importance of that going into the workforce. So we partnered with Jones College, who has been a tremendous partnership throughout this program. I mean, they have been phenomenal in supporting us in a lot of our efforts for trying to kind of contribute to the community in this aspect. So we got in touch with Dr. Michael Trest with the Online Workforce College and helped create what we call these pathways, where students are able to go in, log into these modules, where when they complete these modules that have all sorts of activities and interactions for these students to practice a certain set of skills. So we created one specifically for these practical manual skills, that when a student does go into a job interview, or if they are going into a job immediately out of the workforce, or even if this is something along their professional journey, they're able to have on their resume their badge that they've completed this program, that they've had some training in these practical manual skills, that they can use that, learn from it, take it with them, whatever their professional goals are. With Jones College, kind of in that same sphere, we've had several different interactions with them where they have been very supportive of, whatever we may need for that example specifically, but then even our actual schools. Our schools have been, Jones County School District, Laurel School District, we have been very lucky that our counselors and our administrators at those schools have been extremely supportive of whatever we need. So whenever we come to them with these ideas of all these events that we want to do, and the ways that we want to have these job shadows for students to go outside of the school, or if they want to go on these field trips, we've been very fortunate that they've also been a huge partner and a huge contributor in the success of this program as well.
And that's just it, finding success. You talked earlier, Lorraine, about how you were telling, have you thought about this pathway, or have you thought about that pathway? How do you help them identify what their strengths and interests are to determine what those pathways may be?
Well, first of all, I think that, and a lot of people might think this is just unimportant, but we began by, as career coaches, we began by becoming avid listeners. We have to listen to those students so that we can find out what their interests are, what their goals are, what their expectations are for themselves. And by listening to them, we discover what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And this whole conversation fully equips us to bring in the right people when we're doing career fairs. Invite the right businesses and industries in to talk to them because of that conversation with them. It helps us to find out what step further we need to take to kind of put them on their career path. We also support them by, I know SP South Delta send their coaches out to other schools and colleges so that we'll be better informed or better equipped to come back and tell our students what those particular career options are available for them. They also send us out to the businesses and the industries to see what career options they have for those students who are coming out of school. So we support them by becoming well informed about what's available out there, so we can bring it back to them and kind of help them get on their career paths.
And Jim, kind of along the same lines in terms of strategies that you use or tools,
Because there are a lot of different type of career avenues available for students. So how do you navigate that?
Well, one of the things is with juniors and different and seniors too, we have these assessments, and they're not like, what is the algebraic equation of this formula, blah, blah, blah. It's none of that junk. The assessments are brain games where it's telling them and trying to answer questions in the way, how would you do this, or how would you tweak this or do that? In other words, it will assess what their aptitude is and what their skills are good at. One of them is called Major Clarity. We use that. Another one called Use Science. We use that. And that's mainly for juniors, and Major Clarity, we work with that. So then there's also the ACT Work Keys. We have tons of tools in a way of assessing what is good and what they're good at. We also have what's called the Lounge Young Leaders, and that's a Chamber of Commerce thing where it's for juniors and seniors. We pick so many, or the Chamber does, to get these kids into community service and visit businesses. There's also the Northeast Mississippi Foundation, and there's another one out of Tupelo by the Create Foundation that is mainly for seniors in the way of helping them. Well, I think that is juniors and seniors too, yeah. And that is to get them, again, in community service and get them out and about and seeing businesses and learn some leadership stuff. Boys State, Girls State, other things that help these kids in assessing where they're at and what they need to do. So when, like was said, that when we sit down with the kids, it's one-on-one to begin with. Right. Tell me about yourself. Like one girl comes in, I know, and she comes in every day to get a little piece of candy. I got my little candy bins where they can grab some candy or a bag of chips or whatever, and they come in and she'll sit down for a while and they start to talk. And that's what it's all about. Let me know about you. And she loves to dance, and she's got a little bit of an attitude. When she's out there walking in the hallway, she's like Miss Tough, but when she's with me, she's Miss Sweet. So talking to her and just trying to get to know her, we get to understand where they're coming from and what aptitude or what are their skills, what are their weaknesses. So one thing I do want to press on is we have a program through Three Rivers called Epic Workforce Program, in which it's all funded through Three Rivers, through some ARPA money, from what I think, ARPA money, but we will sponsor a student, a junior or senior, for 100 hours at a work site. Steel Dynamics, now going to be Aluminum Dynamics, we got PACCAR, we got Yokohama. I think this should be MEC Columbus Lowndes County Day, but because we talk so much about that, and I'm so proud to be there too. And very humbled by being here too. But we have this program where we'll sponsor these kids for 100 hours at a work site where something they're interested in. And we'll take care of all the oversight, the work, the liability and all that stuff. But it's a chance for these kids to get hands-on with what they're doing, what they want to do. They can say, oh man, I love it, or nah, I don't love it. So that's another way of trying to let them know what do they want to do. So it's a great thing, and I just say to all you legislators out there, if you can talk to your local businesses, let them know we're coming and that we want to work with them, and that if they can just open up somehow, not look at all the legal stuff all the time, but I understand that. But if they'll just open up, let us have our kids come in and even talk for an hour or two about a person that's in that position of a career path that they want to do, just to get that knowledge for them, to test it out, to whet their appetite, or they can say, yeah, it's not what I wanted at all. Great, let's move on. So got a lot of tools.
A lot of tools. Right, you taught college and career readiness when you were a teacher. Mm-hmm. How does this program with career coaches incorporate some of those things from an academic and work-based learning opportunities to help the students be prepared?
Okay, first of all, it is so very important that the college and career, that the career coach develop positive relationship with both of those entities. We have to develop a relationship with them, and we work collaboratively together so that we can ensure that these students receive what they need. Now, in the college and career readiness, they are taught these soft skills. They are taught even those hard skills for a specific task and whatever job that they're interested in. They are taught how to dress for an interview. They are taught how to speak effectively at an interview. They are taught these things both in work-based learning and college and career readiness. My program incorporates it by putting it into action, if you will. For example, I'm going to set up the mock interviews. We're going to set up mock interviews where we're going to actually have actual employers to come in to interview our students. They get a first-hand look at, well, they're gonna bring their resumes in, they're gonna be dressed for the part, and they get the chance to experience exactly what an interview situation looks like. So, you know, and after they do that, also how we incorporate it is, after they go through the interview situation, we're gonna also allow them career opportunities to shadow. Right now, in our building, we have a particular student who decided he wanted to be a physical education teacher. So we have a physical education teacher in our building, and this particular student right now is shadowing that particular teacher. Now, he found out that he had to do lesson plans and all of that, and that was like the worst end of it. He didn't know he had to do all of that, and along with the duties and all of that, but at least he got a chance to find out what that particular career was about. So I incorporate those particular things that goes on academically with college and career readiness and work-based by actually making my environment a living, working environment for them. I let them actually see what this thing look like. So they're gonna be better prepared when they go out there after high school.
That's awesome. That's a great way of getting them to understand. We got just a few more minutes left, so I've got one question for Jim and the one for you, Colleen. I'm gonna start with Jim. Jim, you talked and you sent me kind of some ideas and proposal, you know, what you do when you do presentations. And one of the things you used was you had the old connect the dot puzzles like we did as kids. And this panel is actually connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Talk about the keys to connecting the dots. I guess it's more, there's a lot to it. It's connecting what you enjoy doing. It's connecting what you're good at doing. It's also connecting the dots of what a good career means. Talk a little bit about why connecting the dots with these students is so important.
Yeah, it all comes back again to businesses and colleges and all that. In the way, when you were little, they had the little connected dot thing where 1, 2, 3, and you use a pencil, don't use a pen, because you mess up and go around like, where's dot 23? I don't even see it. But the dots, and then after you connect all the dots, you see what the image is. Oh, it's a tiger, or it's a bunny, or it's a sun, you know. And that's exactly pretty much what we're doing here. We're connecting the dots with these kids and having resources and options for them to look at. Internships, apprenticeships. We've also got job shadowing, which is a great one, very easy. I had a young lady who's very smart young lady, graduated from EMCC with her associates prior to even getting her high school diploma. I mean, dual credit. It was awesome. And she is now at Xavier, but she was interested in forensic pathology. I'm like, oh man, isn't that like dead bodies, man? You know, I'm like, so anyways, I know Greg Merchant, he's the Lowndes County coroner. I call him and say, Greg, would you mind, I have this one lady who's really interested in this, and could she come and, I know she can't go with you to pick up bodies, but can you at least talk to her? And he goes, yeah, sure. So drop her off, make sure she's there, you know, take pictures of him and her, and hey, great, I can post that. And come back a little bit later. Next day she comes back. I said, how was it? How was it? She goes, man, this is exactly what I want to do. I love it. She's at Xavier right now, and she's studying that. And so in the way of connecting the dots, that's part of it, you know, and also the assessment's part of it. But the job shadowing, we have cooperative education. We have business speakers that come in, like you were talking about, that come in and speak to let us know what's going on, or they can fill in the dots for these kids and connect it all together. So
a lot of different things we could do.
Yep.
Colleen, I'm going to wrap up with the final question to you. As a college recruiter, I know you probably spent time not only recruiting students, but recruiting parents.
Absolutely.
As a career coach, what is the role that you see parents and guardians playing in this process of understanding what this program actually does?
Yeah, so I think that, I mean, parents, they do play probably one of the most important roles in terms of how a student or how a child is going to develop their career path. Part of that, whether it's indirectly or directly, whether they're explicitly coming to you asking questions about, you know, what job should I get, or how am I going to make the most money? Or if it's indirectly in the way that they hear other people, particularly parents or family members, relatives, talking about certain careers. So I always encourage parents to ask questions. Go ahead and start meeting with either your high school counselor, you can meet with your career coach, you can meet with various different people. If your student's going on a college campus tour, go with them to get a better idea of A, what questions to ask, you want to get them answered, but then just to get that perspective. Another thing that I usually try to kind of communicate to parents is that the job market has changed a lot over, I mean, I feel like it's every 10 years you're going to see different shifts and kind of the way the workforce has changed. So one thing that I do try to advise parents is to be a little bit open-minded that the job market has changed, therefore some career paths may look a little bit different. And so where typically, you know, if a parent's thinking that, you know, in order for my child to be successful, they have to get this 4-year degree or else they're not going to make enough money. Where there's different pathways to get to different careers. And the question again, kind of what I mentioned earlier, should be what is the career that they're trying to get, and let's find the most efficient pathway to get there. So for parents, I mean, they're involved in the process because obviously they want what's best for their child. You know, I'm not naive to that. I know that that is something that every parent has on their mind. They want their child to do well, be healthy, have a good livelihood. Okay. And for that, I think what's important is that the parents know that they do have an open line of communication, at least through me. I know there's plenty of people at West Jones High School that are welcome to talking to any parent about any concerns or questions they have about what happens next. But that's something that, you know, my time at Southern Miss to now, the parents are an important role. They are an important person in this decision-making process for that student, and I want to make sure that they know that it's not, you know, whether they think a question is silly or not, it's important to ask them because it's important to be informed because this is their child making these big decisions to move forward in the next phase of their life.
And I think it's important to point out that career coaches aren't just career technical driven, they're academic driven. You're trying to find the best pathway for the student, and I think that's how we make a difference. The charge to each of you, as I mentioned earlier, we're about 80% of our schools across the state currently have career coaches. When you're talking to your legislature, when you're talking to your leaders, encourage them to provide whatever the funding is necessary for us to make sure we can put career coaches in every high school across the state, because in doing so, that's when we start to make a difference. That's when all of the career coaches that are out there, I think there's 177, you only get to hear from 3 of them a day. There's 177 out there that are making a difference in children's lives, making a difference in students' lives. And we thank the 3 of you all for being with us today. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I hope that y'all will continue to have great success as we go forward.
Let me just say one thing. If you have any career coaches in your area, go visit them. Go see them in action. Go check them out. I encourage you to do that.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.